Hello, and welcome. Welcome to another live conversation. And yes, we're back on this topic about studying in Canada as an international student in the context of the recent announcements made by the Government of Canada on January 22nd, 2024. All right, so in that context, regarding, capping, international students coming to Canada, there were some changes made, to the criteria regarding international students. And so one of those is the requirement of a provincial attestation letter. And this would be for, some international students, mainly undergraduate international students, and some graduate students in diploma or certificate programs. So welcome. If you're just tuning in, welcome. Let me know where you're tuned in from. All right, would love to hear from you in the chat also, and let me know if you're hearing me. Let me know if you're hearing me loud and clear. All right, so welcome, guys. Welcome to this live conversation. So, in the context of the provincial attestation letters, I can share with you that two provinces, all right, two provinces are issuing PALs, provincial attestation letters. So I just want to bring that, to your attention. And I know that we have persons here who are, following us for the updates in this context as well. And I just wanted to share that information with you. So we're going to get into the two provinces. So these two provinces are British Columbia and Alberta. And just to let you know that they are issuing PALs, all right? So welcome. I'm not sure if Ruren is going to join me for this conversation, but we'll see how that goes, all right? But for sure, would love to hear from you. And again, we're sharing this information with you not because we are immigration consultants or lawyers. No, we are not. We're sharing based on public information and public knowledge. All right. If it is that you're in a context or you have a case and you require support, please reach out to the persons who are qualified as it relates to helping you with your specific situation or case. All right, so welcome. If you're just tuning in, please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. All right, so again, we're talking about, or we'll be talking about the two Canadian provinces, British Columbia and Alberta. All right, so they're issuing provincial attestation letters, PAL, in this regard. All right, so international students, if you have applied to a designated learning institution in one of those two provinces, you can now, I guess, continue with your application in the sense where you are ready now to submit your documents to IRCC. All right? Welcome. All right, just trying to get some updates out here. So welcome, guys, and let's hit the like button, the share button. All right. And let's get this conversation going. All right, so in this context, I am going to navigate to a website where I can definitely show you the information. All right, so that is definitely important in the context of, just showing you where the information is so that you can have an understanding for yourself as it relates to what is happening. So again, just to give you a sense of, what is, the PAL, the provincial attestation letter, I am going to just navigate to IRCC's page where I can share that information. So if you have missed, previous, conversations regarding these new reforms in the context of international students studying in Canada, then you can get a sense of where we're at. All right. So we'll just try to give an overview and then just get into today's conversation here for this video. All right, so let me just navigate to the page that I want to share with you. All right, so not ready for this one. So let's go to this one here. And just so that you have a sense of what is happening. All right, so again, this is pretty much the clarification in the context of the announcements that were made on January 22nd, 2024. All right, so this one now is dated, February 5th, 2024. And it was pretty much, information provided to clarify the announcement of an intake cap on new international study permit applications and other changes. All right, so again, let me just get my spotlight here so that you can follow along. I am just going to focus on the PAL. All right, so the PAL, the provincial attestation letter, came out of this cap, all right, in the context of capping, international study permit applications in Canada. All right, and as you can see here, cap and provincial attestation letter, and what they said there as of 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time on January 22nd, 2024. Most new post-secondary international students at the college or undergraduate level must provide a provincial attestation letter, PAL, from a province or territory with their study permit application. All right, and so what IRCC is saying is that if you submit an application, that is a study permit application, and you require a PAL and it's not included, then they'll return your application to you. So as a result of that, there was a pause, I would say, on study permit application for some students who are wanting to study in Canada. All right, so here is a little bit more information. This attestation will serve as proof that the student has been accounted for under a provincial or territorial allocation within the national cap. All right, so what we knew was that the provinces and territories, were given a timeline in terms of, when they should have this PAL in place, and that was by March 31st, 2024. All right here. And so in the context of that, I just want to just go back and remind us in terms of who needs a provincial attestation letter. Again, we went, through these contexts in previous videos. So again, just to give you a quick overview of, what this PAL means in this context for you, and if it is that you're requiring one, or if you were waiting on one, perhaps if you have applied to an institution, and let me add a designated learning institution in British Columbia or Alberta, now is the time to reach out to your school to find out what is happening. So we're going to get into that. But first, who needs a provincial attestation letter? And right here, we see, all right, so most post-secondary study permit applicants, all right? So that's the big one, most. And they use most because I will say predominantly undergrad and some graduates. So diplomas, so graduate, certificate and graduate diplomas, definitely you will need one. All right. Then here to the next point, most non-degree granting graduate programs, for example, certificate programs and graduate diplomas. And let's go to this one here. And it says, anyone else not included in the exception list below. All right. And so again, this is a clause there to ensure that they're not allowing anyone to fall through the cracks. All right. So again, anyone who is not included. So let's just scroll down to see if we can get to this section here. Who doesn't? And let's just see how best we can get that. And I just need to get my thing going here again. And let's see if we can get to who doesn't need, a provincial attestation letter. So let's go here. All right, so primary and secondary school students, so students in K to 12, from kindergarten to grade 12 in Canada, you do not need one, an attestation letter, no. Masters or doctoral degree students, so do not need one. In Canada, visiting or exchange students studying at a designated learning institution. So we see here where this was corrected on February 27th, 2024. So again, as you know, I always say we just need to check the information because the information is being updated, and that is definitely important for us to know as well in the context of checking the information. And I'm going to put the links that I use in the description box. All right. So after this video ends, I'll place that information so that you can go there and view for yourself. All right. In Canada, study permit and work permit holders, and this includes study permit holders applying for an extension. All right. In Canada, family members of study permit or work permit holders. All right. So exempted there. Students whose application we received before 8:30 a.m. EST on January 22nd, 2024. So if you have, met that timeline, then you don't need the PAL. All right. But if it is a case where you require the provincial attestation letter, then you'll have to wait on the province where your designated learning institution is located to have an understanding of, what time am I able to submit my study permit application to IRCC. And so again, based on what we know here, is that the government gave the provinces until March 31st, 2024, so March, the ending of March of this year, to have a system in place in the context of how they're going to issue the provincial attestation letters. All right, so what we can share with you now is that British Columbia, and I'm just going to try and get this information up on the screen here so that you can see. All right, it's important for you to see, this information for yourself. All right, so British Columbia, they are now issuing, the PAL. All right, so if you're a student or if you're planning on studying in Canada and you applied to an institution in British Columbia, now is the time to reach out to your institution to find out what is happening if it is that you have not received any updates from them just yet. And so what BC is saying is that the government of BC, and we're right here, the government of BC is now issuing provincial attestation letters to eligible post-secondary institutions to allow new international student applicants to apply for a study permit to study in BC. The provincial attestation issuing system went live on March 4, 2024. So this is important. So let me try and highlight that for you. So what the government of British Columbia is saying here is that this system in terms of issuing the attestation letter It went live on March 4, 2024. All right, so how does this system works in the context? Okay, I am planning on studying British Columbia. I have submitted my application. I got, that offer letter. How does this work? Do I need to apply to the province? And so this is what we're going to share now in the context of, British Columbia. So my understanding is that what British Columbia is doing is giving each institution an allocation, right? And so what you need to do is to contact the institution. Say, for example, you apply to University of British Columbia, you would reach out to them to say, okay, if they have not yet reached out to you. So you do not need to reach out to the province because the institution, they are going to issue you or tell you how to get this provincial attestation letter. All right, so let me see if I can bring that information up just to see if I should have that somewhere here just to read that for you and so that you can see. All right, so just before, all right, let me just start from the top here. The province will begin, so this is BC, will begin issuing provincial attestation letters to eligible post-secondary institutions to allow international applicants to study in BC as required by the Federal Department of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, IRCC. All right. The new provincial attestation letter system will be effective as of March 4, 2024. Provincial attestation letters are now required for new study permit applications. The IRCC announced the new requirements on January 22nd, 2024. All right, and so this is the minister here of post-secondary just sharing in that paragraph. And let us go down here. I guess we're getting to the information that we want. The provincial attestation letter is a verification letter that will be sent from the province to the institution, then from the institution to the international applicant. All right, so this is definitely important for you. So in this context, therefore, if you're planning on studying in British Columbia and you have gotten your, acceptance letter from the designated learning institution, right? You do not need to reach out to the province itself to find out, oh, I need this, PAL, I need this attestation letter. So what this information is saying here is that the provincial government, right, they're going to pretty much send that to the institution, and then the institution is going to send that to the applicant, the international applicant or student. All right. So in that sense, I am believing at this point or assuming that how this might go for some institutions is that this will be based on if there is a tuition deposit that you need to pay. The sooner you pay that, right, will indicate to them that you're serious about studying at their institution. So I feel that will be a way of determining, how they're going to issue that letter in the context of the institution, because the institution here is still getting some control over the process. So the institution is going to, see if you accept the offer, and I guess they'll give you a time if there needs to be a payment or a down payment in the context of a tuition deposit. They will look at that to determine, how you move along with that process. So if it is that you have to make a tuition deposit, I will suggest that you do that as soon as possible, because the next thing is that each institution, from my understanding, and perhaps we'll see that further in this letter here or this, what is there on this website, each institution will get an allocation, right? And so if the institution pretty much allocated all that they have in the context of PAL. They cannot do any more for a particular year. They'll have to wait until the next year to get, another allocation. All right. So again, the provincial attestation letter is a verification letter that will be sent from the province to the institution and then from the institution to the international applicant. So as an international student, and this is for BC specifically now, if you have applied to study in British Columbia and you have received your offer letter in terms of acceptance, and you have not yet, heard, back from, the institution, now is the time to reach out to them to say, okay, what's the next step in the context of accessing, the PAL. All right. So based on your understanding, the government has now, they have a system in place that went live on March 4. And so you want to know, what's the next step. And so, again, I am going to assume that some of these institutions, right, they're going to require a tuition deposit because the next thing, too, that we have to look at is that if they're getting an allocation, they want to ensure that, they have an international student coming in to their institution for all those allocations, right? So they don't want to issue a PAL and then you don't show up because we understand the other side of international students studying in Canada and what this means for, a university or a college in the context of finances. And so that is going to be something where I feel if you don't pay the tuition deposit by a set or a specified time, then they're going to, move on to somebody else because they're going to try to get in as much students as they possibly can, and they don't want to waste any of their allocations. So I believe that that's the way they'll be going in this context. All right, so let's continue here. The letter will serve as proof that the applicant has been accounted for within the maximum set by the federal government. Applicants will submit the attestation letter along with their study permit application. Institutions that use their full allocation will not be able to submit more applications until a new allocation is issued by the federal government for the following year. All right, so this is definitely important for us to know, right? And this is what I was just talking about in the sense where the institution, they're going to want to maximize on their allocation, right? And so, for example, if they get, say, a school get about 1,500 in terms of PALs or allocation, right? Then they're going to want to have, 1,500 students, international students there. And they want persons who are serious because they want to ensure that they use it up for this year. So if they get the sense that you're not going to come, then, they are perhaps not going to want to continue with you because they want to ensure that each, yearly allocation is accounted for as best as they can. And I feel again that this may mean, an upfront tuition deposit where you have to pay that before getting, this PAL or before getting the letter that you need to get from them to for verification because IRCC, they're now verifying, study permit applications. So that's definitely important. In the context of British Columbia, BC's allocation allows for 83,000 undergraduate study permit applications. So this is what the province is getting, right? And this compares to approximately 97,000 study permit applications in 2023 for undergraduate programs. So we can see that obviously there is a cut. And what BC is saying is that this is what we're getting, this figure, here is what we're getting for 2024. And so BC is now giving institution an allocation from this number. And what they're saying, well, as an institution, if you use up your full allocation, you just have to wait until, 2025, and when we'll know, what the province will be getting from the federal government, then we'll do this process again in the context of, I guess, allocation and the provincial attestation letter. I guess, how much you can issue for your institution. So just to share that with you, and, again, if you have applied to an institution there in British Columbia, then now is definitely the time to reach out if you have not, heard back from that institution to find out what's the next step. It is your understanding that, the PALs are available and you would like to continue with your study permit application to IRCC. So in this context, information is important in this context. So again, BC is up and running. So if it is that you have made a study permit, not a study permit, if you have applied to an institution in BC to study as an international student, then you should by now, hear something from the university or college. So reach out if you need to in this context. All right. So welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in, please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. Let's now go over to Alberta. All right, so in the context of Alberta, I pretty much came upon this information by way of, the University of Calgary's website. And based on the information that is there, it is definitely indicating, suggesting, right, that, Alberta's system is up and running as well. All right, so again, now if you're in Alberta, all right, what you need to do is to reach out to your institution. If you have applied to study in Alberta, reach out to your institution to find out, what is happening in that context. All right, so in the context of the University of Calgary, which is located in Calgary there, Alberta, and just looking at, their frequently asked questions. And when do I get a PAL or a provincial attestation letter? So we're just right here. Once you have accepted your offer and paid your deposit, you Calgary will request your PAL from the province of Alberta. Once your PAL is available, the university will send an email to the email address you used on your application to let you know that your PAL is available for you to download in your student center. All right, so this is important. So a couple of, things here from this very first question. So specifically now for the University of Calgary, and then perhaps we can assume that this might be similar, in other institutions as well. So what the University of Calgary is saying here, once you've accepted your offer, so that's number one, you must accept the offer. And then number two, paid your deposit. Let me see if I can just annotate on this one so that we can see what is going on. So this is number one here. So number one, this is number one. All right, so number one, you must accept the offer. And then this is number two. Number two here is saying, you know what? You need to pay the deposit. And then after that, right? This is what will happen after. The university So after you've accepted your offer, okay, so this is one. Then number two, paid your deposit, right? This is the next step. After you have done one and two, the next step, the university will request your provincial attestation letter from the province. So that's the next step. And then number four is that once the PAL is available, the university will send an email to the email address you used on your application. So they will send you an email. So let me get number four. Let me get number four here. So this is number four. All right, let's try number four here again. It was just blocking a little bit there. Oops, not getting that too good. All right, let's go again. Let's just try and see if it works this time. All right, not bad. All right, so with the University of Calgary there in Alberta, so what we get from this is that Alberta's system is up and running in terms of accessing the PAL. And what I also get here, that the system in Alberta is similar to what is in British Columbia, in the sense that you will apply to the institution, get your offer letter, accept that, and depending on if you have to pay a tuition deposit or not, the university, they will reach out to the province to request the PAL on your behalf. So you don't need to be in direct communication with the province, but with the university that you're planning or that you have submitted your application, or the university now that you have accepted that offer from in terms of attending in Alberta. So again, just from this information from the University of Calgary, there are a few things here that you need to do in order to access that PAL, that provincial attestation letter. So the first thing you need to do is that once you have received, your offer letter, you need to accept that offer, right? And if it is that you're planning on going to the University of Calgary, they're saying you need to pay your deposit. So if you accept the letter and you don't pay your deposit, the next step will not be happening. This is based on my understanding. And again, just trying to understand, the information and the allocation, as I shared when we were looking at British Columbia, is that institutions, they're going to maximize on the allocation that they're given. When we look at finances, that's another side of international students studying in Canada. You bring, money to these institutions, right? And so they too understand that. So if it is that they believe that you're not going to come this year, or, you might not come, then they're going to try their best to maximize on students who they believe are going to come. So students who are showing that intention that they're going to come. And so a part of that strong intention, or their intent in terms of coming is, paying your tuition deposit, paying that deposit. Paying that deposit does not, and having the PAL does not necessarily mean that you're going to get your study permit approved. And so you will see from these institutions that they will return most of your money. And I guess some of them, they will take some money out of it for whatever cost, I don't know. But they will return most of your deposit, or perhaps all of your deposit, once you show them that your study permit was not approved, right? So your application was not approved, then they will give you back your money, because then that's no fault of yours. IRCC just did not approve your application. So as a result, you cannot come to Canada. You need that approval to come to Canada, right? So they're going to be serious about that. in that context. And this too, can become a challenge for some students in terms of the quick turnaround time and just understanding that I need to pay this money right now. And if I don't pay it, I might not get the PAL, the letter that I need to submit my study permit application. So based on what I am seeing here from these four, steps, it is important for you as soon as you get your offer letter, you accept that. And if you're required to pay a deposit, you do that right away because that will separate you from, other students. The earlier the better, right? The early bird catches the most worm. So in that sense, you need to pay that so that you can get that PAL right away to go with your study permit application. Because let's say University of Calgary, they're getting 500 for their allocation and they have over, let's say, 1,500 international student applications and they give offers, right? And so in that context, they're going to go with the first 500 who paid their deposit, right? The first 500. And so that is important in that context. So you now need to understand that with this cap, it becomes a little bit more, can be more challenging, can be more frustrating because you're not going to be too sure, where you stand in the context of that. So you just have to move as quickly as possible to ensure that, you're able to realize your dream if that means coming to Canada to study. So again, just to share that by virtue of the information shared by the University of Calgary, it is safe to say that Alberta, their system is in place in the context of this provincial attestation letter. All right, welcome. If you're just tuning in, welcome, welcome. Let me just look in the chat. Sometimes my chat isn't working, guys. So let me just refresh here to see if I'm missing. I'm not seeing any comments. So hopefully I am not missing, any comments there from the chat. All right. So welcome. Please hit the like button and share. You never know who might need this information in terms of studying in Canada. So just go over, so BC, we looked at BC and now Alberta. So based on the information here, Alberta system in the context of the PAL is also available. And my understanding here from the University of Calgary is that as an international student, you do not need to reach out to the province of Alberta to get that PAL. So the institution that you applied to and you have accepted, your offer and make perhaps in some cases make your deposit, they will request, the PAL on your behalf from the province. And once that PAL is available, they will send that to you via email. And then you can now use that information to that letter to support, your application, your study permit application, because you will definitely need that PAL. And here they have, how can I access my PAL? Once we have prepared it for you, you'll be able to access your PAL in your student center. You'll also receive an email when it is available for you to download from your student center. And this is specifically now for the University of Calgary. But just by virtue of their information here, it signals to me that, Alberta's system is ready. So if you have applied to a designated learning institution in Alberta, all right, and you have received an offer letter, now is the time to reach out to the institution if you have not heard back from them to say, I get the understanding that the PALs are ready. What is the next step for me in the context of accessing this letter so that I can use it to support my study permit application? And again, I would say time is of the essence in the context of, what I am seeing here. And just thinking about how, universities are going to want to maximize on, the allocation given. And so I am going to say perhaps all, and let me not say all, but perhaps most, universities, they're going to ask for that deposit. And even if some are not asking for it this time around, I guess moving forward, that is going to be something just to ensure that students, they want to come there to study and they're clear about that because the universities, they have their numbers that they want as well. And so they're going to ensure that they are maximizing on the allocation, given to them by the province. So, that's going to be important for them too. All right, I am not seeing. I doubt Ruren is here, so not seeing Ruren, and that's fine. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to stop sharing here because that is all the information I have to share, and I'm just going to show you the WhatsApp number on screen in the event that, you have any questions, you can give us a quick call. Again, we're not immigration lawyers or consultants. We're merely sharing based on experience and, public information or public knowledge. So just to let you know that. And I know, some persons, they're definitely here for this information. So we're also here to share that with you as well. All right, so you should be seeing that WhatsApp number on screen there. So if it is that you would like to give us a call, all right, we can take a quick call. All right, can take a couple of calls here because we're very close in terms of wrapping this one up. Or if you have any questions, you can definitely share in the chat as well. All right, would love to hear from you. And did you apply, to an institution here in Canada? What's your experience like so far? Would love to hear from you. All right. So again, welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in, welcome. I'm just giving you this quick update as it relates to British Columbia and Alberta. They're issuing provincial attestation letters. So if you're an international student and you have applied to an institution in British Columbia or Alberta and you have not yet heard back from them, now is the time to reach out, to find out, hello, I have, submitted my application, receive an offer letter. I'm yet to hear back from you in the context of the provincial attestation letter. I am just wondering what's the next step for me in this process. So, that is important. So, would love to hear from you if you'd like to call the WhatsApp number that is on screen. That would be good. So I am just waiting and hoping to hear from you. Again, welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in, please hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. And, this is definitely important. If you are studying in Canada or if you plan to study in Canada, Arctic Fire, welcome. And Arctic is saying greetings, voices, and greetings to you too, Arctic Fire. All right, Max Morgan is here. I'm just seeing the comments now. Hello to you, Max Morgan. Welcome, welcome. All right, so hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. All right, tell a friend to tell another friend. And if you know students in Jamaica, guys, share this information. Here at Voices in Education, we do quite a lot of programs, and we do programs that are also, I would say strictly education based, like school based, university based programs, as well as education, because education in general is just having an awareness, and so that is also important. So we do quite a lot of programs here. And one of our, goals here is to support students or to continue to support students. So if you're new to this space, share this information. So if you have students or, our family members in Jamaica or, any country who is planning or have a dream of studying in Canada, we have that information here based on the latest announcement that was made, by the government of Canada in January 22nd, of this year. So it's definitely important for you. Again, we're sharing so that, you can get an understanding of, what is happening. And in that sense, you can definitely, come over. So let me just see here what's going on. And again, you can call us. Would love to hear from you. All right. So don't be afraid to give us a call. All right. So welcome. If you're just tuning in, welcome. So we're here, and I believe, Ruren is here. And so would love to hear from you, Ruren, if, what are your views so far on this information? I'm not sure if you're ready for us, but whenever you're ready, let us know. I think I'm hearing Ruren, perhaps not yet. So whenever you're ready, just let us know. All right. So welcome, guys. So just to let you know that two provinces in Canada, Alberta and British Columbia, they are now issuing provincial attestation letters for international students who are planning on studying in Canada. And this letter is necessary. And we went, through the persons who require, a provincial attestation letter and persons who do not, and so require a provincial attestation letter. So if you have missed those, episodes or videos, you can definitely go back, on this channel and look for that information. And would love to hear from you. If there's a particular experience that you'd like us to talk about here, you can, send us a message there on that WhatsApp number that is on screen. All right. Would definitely love to hear from you. Right. So we do everything educational. So current affairs, sports, universities, colleges, and just wanting to ensure that, students do, you have, options, and we want to share with you information in its simplest form where you can get an understanding for yourself. And again, I am going to leave the links that we utilize in this live in the description box, so you can always go back there and access that information for yourself. Rurian, I'm not sure if you're still here.
Hello, Dr. Shirley, still here. How are you
Hi,
doing?
how are you? I'm doing fairly okay. Just wanted to check in with you to find out, your views on British Columbia and Alberta issuing PALs, and, just to get a
Hey.
sense of where you're at right now.
Oh, well, good information. Like, I haven't been keeping up with it, but it's good to know that these PALs are actually rolled out. And, it's an interesting way they're choosing to do that, you know, where the institution is the one that, issue the PAL. So that's that's kind of cool. So it's a new system, and it's always good to figure out how they would operate this, execute this, and to see if there is going to be any sort of adjustment or adaptation to their rollout plan. So, the fact that these two provinces have gone ahead with that, obviously things are in place, and, the students need to capitalize on whatever is there for them. So, if you have not checked in with your institution yet, and you have applied to universities in these provinces, that's British Columbia, BC, and Alberta, then, you know, as Natasha Lee was saying earlier, it's a good time to just check in to find out where, things are. And you raised a point there about the time sensitivity of these, spots and tiles, and I can see that as well, where the institutions are going to want to fill their spots as soon as possible. So they are just going. I think they're just going to work with persons who are, prompt with their, application process, and are able to, get the necessary paperwork in, and that's what they're looking for. So, anybody who's out there who is in this process, all the best, and just keep tuned in so that you are able to get the latest updates and the best offers that could be out there for you. So, you know, that would be good for you. So just keep attuned to this platform. Yes, Natasha, we're going to pass back over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Marianne, for sharing and, just highlighting some of those important points, in the context of this conversation and in the context of the PAL. And so, again, it's just two Canadian provinces so far, British Columbia and Alberta, that are issuing, the provincial attestation letters. So, as soon as we get further updates, we'll definitely share that information with you here. So as Rurian suggested, it is important for you to hit the subscription button and, tap that bell and select all so that you do not miss any updates from this channel. And so again, just to remind you that the remaining provinces, based on the government of Canada's announcement, they have until March 31st, so the ending of this month, to have their system in place. So I suspect in the next, in the weeks ahead, we'll definitely have some more information to share with you in the context of, the provincial attestation letters for remaining provinces. All right. So ensure again that you have your post notification, turned on. And this information might not be for you, but it might be for someone else. So share, and you never know who might need this information. And especially if you know students, high school students, share this information. Let them have an understanding of what is happening. And adults too, because, persons, pursue higher education or, decide to study further at different stages and ages, and so that is totally okay too, because adults do come to Canada and study as well. And so this is definitely important information, for just about anyone who is interested. And again, you might not know who is interested, you may not know, but sharing is caring. So tell a friend to tell another friend about the voices in education. And I'm looking in the chat there, and Arctic Fire is saying, feeling good, great reasoning. All right. So thank you so much, Arctic, for your kind words there in the chat. All right. So let me just refresh this chat here to see if I'm missing any comments, because we're going to wrap this one up right now. All right. So let me just see if I'm missing, any comments here. Doesn't look that way. All right. So again, welcome if you're just tuning in. Let me just give you an overview of, our conversation here. So pretty much I shared that two Canadian provinces, British Columbia and Alberta, they are issuing provincial attestation letters. And I pretty much share that information with you based on, the sources that I shared. And I'll also place those sources in the description box of this live so that you can go and access, that information for yourself. I gave an overview as well in the context of how we got to this point of international students requiring, a provincial attestation letter. And that came from the announcements that were made by the government of Canada on January 22nd, 2024, in the context of some international student reforms. Basically, capping, study permit applications. All right. So that's pretty much, how we got to this point of international students who are planning on studying in Canada, starting January 22nd, 2024. You will require an attestation letter if it is that, you do not meet, a particular or some set criteria, or so if you're not in a particular set criteria, then for sure you need a provincial attestation letter. And most undergraduate students require a provincial attestation letter. So if it is that you're going to do, an undergraduate degree, and graduate students, so masters and doctoral students, they do not need a provincial attestation letter. But graduate students who are doing like a diploma, a graduate diploma, or a graduate certificate program, you'll definitely need a provincial attestation letter based on the information from IRCC. All right, so I just want to thank you so much for coming over, for liking, for sharing, for commenting in the chat, and Ruren for joining me on this call as well. All right. So again, guys, thank you so much. And remember to stick and stay. All right. So hit the like button, hit the share button, the subscription button, and turn on your post notification. All right. So tap that bell, select all so that you do not miss any updates from this channel. All right. Let me just check in the chat one last time to see if I'm missing any comments. I doubt I am missing any comments. So again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next live. Bye for now, everyone. Blessings and love. And if you're applying or in the process of coming to Canada as an international student, all the very best, and would love to hear about your journey. So one of these days, we'll call, and, persons can share about their experiences, coming to Canada, and would love to hear about your experience as well. All right. Bye for now. And I will see you in the next live.